Hey everybody, it is Devon from the Maniology team, and today we are going to be doing some reverse stamping with plate M168. For today, I am going to be using a detail brush, so you can use 102 or you can also use, I believe, 106. Both are really good options. If you do not have a detail brush, you can use a toothpick. Just be very careful when you are trying to reverse color your designs, because sometimes you end up accidentally poking into the image. So I am going to reverse stamp this image today, and yeah, let's just get started. I'm using a bunch of different colors. However, you do not need to use the same colors as me. You can use whatever colors you would like. So I'm turning my plate upside down because it's easier to stamp, and that way I don't drag all the excess polish down this way. I only drag it this way so there's less to clean. I'm using Bam White. This is my design. So just go ahead, clean up any excess. I mean, you don't really need to do that if you don't want to, because you're not even going to stamp that part, but sometimes I just do it out of habit. And then go ahead and grab your favorite colors. I am going to be using gold and green. So these are the two colors that I'll be using to color in my design. Yeah. So this is up to you. You can either place your polish on the mat, because this mat that I am using is polish resist, or it's a polish safe mat. So you can apply polish or whatever you want. So now just go ahead and, whoops, fill in your design. So notice what my brush is doing when I am filling in this design. I'm gently tapping. I'm not really pressing into the image. And this is also another reason why I recommend using a brush instead of like a sharp, toothpick, because if you use a toothpick, sometimes you end up digging too much into the design, and then you'll take away parts that you didn't mean to. Also, make sure that when you are working here, let me see if I can put this. There we go. Now you guys can see the pattern. When you are working with this, make sure that the polish you're using has a nice wet consistency. It needs to be fresh. If you're using older, thicker polishes, you'll need to use some kind of polish thinner to color it in, because if the polish is too wet, or too dry, it'll actually peel away some of your design while you're trying to color it in, and it'll act like tape or something, and while you're like dabbing onto the design, it'll be like pulling some of your design away when you're removing your brush, and that is just super annoying. You don't want that to happen. So if your polish ends up getting too dry, add polish thinner, or just put down a new dot of polish on your mat. And if I am not answering your questions right now, I apologize. I'm trying to focus on our design. This is not necessary, but I highly recommend it. If you can polish or apply your polish very thinly and not like glob it on, that's better because it'll dry much faster. So when you turn it to the side, it shouldn't look like a huge bump of polish. It should just be a very thin application. I think I need more polish because my little spots over here are way too dry, and I don't want to take a chance with ruining my white stamp design underneath. Yes, this brush that I'm using is a Maniology brush. So if you type in 102 or 105, you should be able to find a really good detail brush. And I will make sure that after this live, I link all the products so that way in case you are interested in picking some of these items up, you will be able to do so through the links provided. Let's see. I think I'm gonna do green in the center. So as you can see, reverse stamping is pretty easy. It's actually quite relaxing to do, especially if you have good lighting and the proper tools. It's very fast. Okay, so I am just going to put this on the side and let this dry. In the meantime, I am going to work on some of the other designs. Also, if you have product complaints or product issues, please email us directly. Do not necessarily comment on our lives or on the Facebook, because that's not really the place, and we have a lot of customers who aren't really necessarily interested in that. So if you want immediate assistance, we recommend you emailing us directly through our support at maniology.com, and we'll be able to happily assist you. While I move that on the side, I am going to work on our next design. So I already applied my red base. I'm just going to move that over, and we are going to do some gradient snowflakes. Always make sure you clean off your stamper if possible. I usually keep a wet acetone soaked cotton pad near me so that way I can just wipe it all on here, because I don't really like wiping it on my mat. Then use 2 of your favorite blues, whatever you want. I think a dark and light color work well, just so you can do like a really nice gradient. I already applied my white base, which is from Frozen. You're gonna just go ahead and slightly overlap your colors if possible. Now we're gonna scrape multiple times, and one more time. Perfect. Then you're gonna go ahead and just stamp your snowflake gradient onto your base. And this is design number 2. So let me just double check if this is dry yet, and we'll be able to tell by looking at the side. You see that there's still a little bump here. That means that, yeah, that polish is not dry, and you can tell because look at all the other designs. You see how the polish dried flat, and right here we can still see that there's a bump. That means, yeah, the polish hasn't dried completely, and when you touch it, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's actually like my fingerprint mark on it. So we're still just gonna let this dry, and you can just keep it on the side. Then let's go on to our third design. Wanted to do a really cute Christmas tree for you guys. And I will be using our greenhouse polish with our Gold Rush base. So I wanted to do this really cute Christmas tree. I keep looking at it. Oops. Make sure your stamper's clean when you do this. I completely forgot to do that. Oh, also, if you are new to working with designs that have a large etched space like this area, be very careful when you are scraping. You want to apply not a lot of pressure, and also it is better to scrape in the opposite direction of the solid etch space. So for example, I don't know if you guys notice, and you can kind of see it here, the color is not fully even. The green part is not fully even. It seems a little lighter in some areas, and part of that is because when I scraped this way, I accidentally dug out the polish from this solid etched area. So it is better to scrape this design actually this way, because if you scrape it this way, your scraper card isn't going to dig into this area and dig out the polish. So just make sure that when you're doing this, you try scraping this way, especially if you're not comfortable working with the solid edge areas. If you are, then it's fine, it's whatever. You can scrape this way, just make sure you don't press too hard. I was able to still get like a pretty decent pickup, even though I scraped in the wrong direction. Also, you may want to use soft pressure when you are stamping this. So don't push down a lot, because then you're going to push all the polish out of this solid etched area. So that is our design number 2. Now let's take a look at our stamp decal that we created earlier. This is a little bit still wet, and you can still see there's kind of a bump. So I guess I'll just put it on the side and be patient. I just want to get on with it and show you guys, because that's the fun part of the reverse stamping, is seeing it transferred. So the last design I am going to do is these cute little layered elves. And for those of you who are asking, this is plate M168. It is available on the site right now. However, I will be linking the products that I used in this live after. Let's use black for our cute little elf. So for this, you're going to need to move quickly, especially because the designs are thin. I think I'm gonna reverse stamp this design because it looks so cute. Let's make my elf gold. Also, when you're picking up different colors, and even when you are doing regular reverse stamping, make sure that you wipe your brush clean. Do not do this. Always wipe in the direction of the bristles, not this way, but this way, because you want to keep your bristles uniformed at the tip. So if you go in like this direction or you go up, that'll make your bristles fray, and once you do that, it's really hard to fix it. And let's give our elf a blue hat. Oh, actually, let's give him a white hat. So I'm using the color Frozen, which is one of my favorites. It stamps beautifully, and it just looks really nice. You can always just flip your stamp over and check your work. I'm gonna add a little red to our elf. Let's make the rest of his outfit red. And I think I'm gonna make his time to clean off the brush. You see how my bristles stay together? I have very tiny fraying right there, that one little hair, but for the most part, it still looks really good. The reason you don't want fraying is because it makes coloring in much more difficult, especially for these very, very tiny, fine designs. So I think someone was mentioning how you should have a dedicated nail art brush. That definitely helps. Professional nail artists always have dedicated art brushes that they only use for specific things and techniques. So I definitely recommend it. I think it's much easier. Okay, so Karen said that when she does reverse stamping, she accidentally ends up pulling up the stamped lines. When that happens, it means one of two things. Your polishes are probably too dry, so you need to either add polish thinner or some kind of polish that has a wetter consistency. If it's too thick, that's what I mean, how it'll like remove your lines, because it basically acts like an adhesive when it's too thick. So try using a polish that has a very watery or thinner consistency, so that way you can apply it onto your stamp without having to worry. Also, lightly dab. Don't drag when you're coloring, just lightly dab your design. think that's good. So I'm gonna let that sit and go back to our first design. So let's take a look at the side. Looks like that bump went down. Yep. It's all pretty good. No fingerprint marks in the polish, and that is what we're looking for. So now, if you can get your timing right, you do not have to do this step, but because I'm doing a live demonstration and because I don't want to have to guess my timing, I personally don't like that. Just gonna go ahead and apply a very generous coat of our sticky base coat. So wait 30 seconds to a minute for this to dry. The reflection in the polish should not look perfect like this. That's how you'll know that it's dried. Also, you can touch it if you want, but usually my way of telling is how the reflection looks on the polish. So right now, as you can see, it's very defined. You can literally see the rows of lights. And that is way too wet. So let's take a look at this. I think this one is okay. I think this one's done. Oh, well, except for the fact that I have all kinds of little gaps on my elf that need to be colored in. Just kidding. Guess it's not done. That's the good thing about the clear stamper, though. You can just flip it over and check. Oh, better. So now you can see my elf is more colored in. Let's take a look at this. Still pretty wet. Yeah. You could probably, or I could have done a thinner coat. However, because I have a red base, I don't want to worry about accidentally smudging my red base. So I did a thicker coat because you guys are watching. But if you guys weren't watching, I probably would have done a thinner coat, and just who cares if I smudge it. So since my little character is small, I don't need to coat this whole area. I'm literally just going to do the area that I want my character to be. So there. I think that should be enough space for them. You can see I didn't do the whole thing. Literally just the center. Then again, 30 seconds to a minute for it to dry. Okay, this is good to go. Oh, it still looks pretty shiny, but it feels right. Voila. That's it. So if you have this kind of stuff, you can cut it with scissors or take a cleanup brush and acetone and just go ahead and clean up around the edges. Or you can just pull it off if you want to. Since this is just a nail tip, I'm just gonna leave it today. So this is our third winter design with M168, and we are going to do one more. Oh, perfect. This is already dry. And there is our little elf. So let's stamp his facial features on, or her facial features on, whatever you want it to be. Here's my black. I want a happy elf today. So oh my god, I got it, guys. Look at my little elf. Isn't it cute? Colored all out of the lines and everything. I know you guys will have much better luck than me. And also, if anyone gets that close to your nails to see that you colored out of the line, you need to tell them to step back because we are living in a pandemic. So they should not be that close anyways. Let's add maybe a cute little saying and an accessory. I'm gonna add this cute little present. Never mind, no present. Just a cute saying. So for these smaller designs, I highly recommend that you scrape firmly. I don't know if you guys heard, but like there's a sound that my scraper makes. You want to hear that loud scraping sound to know that the polish got into the etching, especially because these designs are finer line designs, so you want to have a really nice strong scrape. And these are some of the 4 options that you can create with our M168 plate. And also I will be linking the products to this live, so in case you weren't able to catch everything, you want to rewatch it, or you want to find out what products I used, they will be linked and this live will be posted after. Well, have an amazing week everyone, and I will see you for our next live. Talk to you later. Bye.